So, lots of good stuff. How do you feel?
That's the roughest it's ever been.
Pretty rough. Well, have you ever actually run it all the way through before?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's all good. I think there's a lot of good stuff going on. There's just a couple things we need to hit upon. I think the biggest thing though is just kind of a sense of like a dancing groove. Like it seems really heavy, especially at the louder dynamics. Everyone's trying to like show where the beat is, and I think it really it almost interrupts the groove as opposed to kind of keeping it light. Like at the lower dynamics, like when you guys do the little Pandera rune thing, and when you guys come in on runes, like it actually kind of moves along really nicely because we're all kind of out of our own texture trying to show where the downbeat is. So I think we just kind of need to keep it lighter, and maybe just think a little bit more groove oriented. Also, we have a lot of parts that are fortissimo, but they've got like accents in them and whatnot. I think we need to kind of make more out of those little kind of micro phrases going towards accents, as opposed to thinking of it as like a fortissimo with an accent on top. Maybe bringing it down and adding a little bit more shape to the accents. I think that would kind of help clean up the texture and have a little bit more clarity to the sound. I'm just wondering, is it possible that we could maybe turn you guys at least like a 45 degrees so you can see it a little? It seems like in the beginning you guys are just really disconnected towards those four guys, and I think it's just because you're basically looking away from them the whole time.
Yeah.
Let's just start at the beginning, and let's just run through this kind of sparse section and see if we can lock in a little bit better to each other. Just communicate. I feel like Dave's taking on a lot of the responsibility of the conducting, but I think we all got to just internalize the pulse a little bit more. And Dave, just keep it a little bit smaller and a little bit more compact. I think everyone's tuned into. You don't need to do anything huge or anything. Just making sure that you're giving clear demarcations of the beat. Yeah, really good. Just make sure we're really confident. All right, at 17, like the first time I know it wasn't that good because it was our first row. That time at 17 was really nice. That we're more confident on our entrances. Seems like whenever we got something that's piano, the fortissimo, we kind of air it, and that actually makes everyone else second guess where that beat is. So be a little bit more confident, especially in the beginning of pianos. Let's give that a shot. Take it from 16. Just do it 2 repeats, and then go straight through 17. And let's just do that like twice, so we can kind of get that groove going through that whole sparse, staggered section.
So the
16.
third time?
Yeah, third time is 16.
116.
Yep. Yeah, there should still be a difference though. Like right at 17, you got da 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 da. That kind of goes up through the texture, and then at 74, when we all have, I guess at 73, we have 1, 2, diggity da. Yeah, that thing. That's supposed to sound different. That's supposed to be like this big unison diggity da. Whereas this first 2 bars at 17 is supposed to kind of go down through the texture and then back up, and then right at 73, we're all together playing. And then we got that big roll. So let's try it again. Third time at 16. I know it's a little faster this time. Just keep it light and make sure that we're, listening to each other and that we're all keeping it dancey. Yeah, that's good. So, overall, just make sure that we're keeping it light and that we're not, playing too loud too often. Save the louds for special moments because in this piece they can get really monotonous. So good job. Yeah, just keep it up and. If possible, you guys know that if you can play together, and then if you can play together, and if those guys can play with you, the better. And then obviously rehearsing as a group is always great too. So good job, guys. So what do you think about when you think of French music in general? Do you think about anything when you hear the term French music?
Not specifically.
No, it's okay. I usually think like a little bit lighter. Just lighter. German's kind of darker.
Yeah.
American's kind of in between. If there's an American style, and then you got French, which is lighter. It's more bouncy and more just on top of the beat.
Okay.
So, part of my thing is that both you can do that rhythmically and sound-wise.
Okay.
So let's just try and let's just do this first 2 lines and go up to da 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 stop.
Okay.
And try to think lighter and more bouncy and just generally up.
Okay.
Yeah. that's already much improved. It, part of this is I think you did a lot there with, especially the feel of like how you played on the drum. And what that did was that outlined this 3/8 meter, which is really nice. I generally don't like number 6 because it's in 2/4. I really think De La Cruz shines with this triple meter because we're kind of used to like rock and roll 2/4. With the triple meter, we get this kind of nice sense of 1 2 3 1 2 3. So I think we should definitely try to incorporate that a little bit more, and not saying like emphasize it, but this kind of like. It always kind of leads to the downbeats, and you can see I spend a lot of time up. And what I think that does is that it outlines the meter, and it just gives this kind of overall sense of forward motion. A lot of times I feel like, especially with American students playing De La Cruz, it's just very like, we don't usually play in or triple time meters. So let's try that same phrase again. See, keep concentrating on a little bit more up. Make sure that you're not getting to the center. That was also really darkening up your sound, and it was affecting your rolls. Like when you go up for this big roll, where's the, right there. You really move into the center, and it really makes your roll grainy. Try to stay here, as opposed to here, really opening up your playing zone. You want to have a nice full sound for this, but you don't want to get into that center area at all.
Alright.
Also, move a little bit more forward to the drum, because it seems like you're kind of playing like this. And it's, I like the use of arm, but I like it when it's a comfortable use of the arm. So maybe just scoot a little bit more forward, and that way we can. Right. Yeah. And also, I know you're at tempo. You're doing all your rolls duple, right? Like 16th based. You might want to think about, especially with overall, but the shorter ones, maybe doing triples, like 8th note ones. Because what you get is you kind of get this, you got really nice open rolls, you get this kind of you get a little bit change of sound, and I know that's harder to just throw in right now, but that's something you might want to just check out. And it might not work. I mean, everyone's roll speed's different. Just make sure that you're going for a little bit smoother roll speed. I don't want to say like close it down, because usually students err on the side of closing down. So I really like how open it is, but might want to keep that openness and just try to do maybe a quicker roll base on some of the stuff. So let's
I haven't worked out all the metric modulation.
Yeah, it's definitely a good start. I like how slow you're playing it. While you're playing it this slow and learning, it would really help if we kind of differentiate the voices that are going on, which are pretty obvious. You got the felt end, and then you've got the butt end of the mallet. So, we've got this kind of tenuto mark sound, and then the staccato sound. And, granted we can do that easily with the head versus butt, but I think it's more important to also do it with like how you're playing the strokes, doing that legato, kind of tenuto back of the hand. So give me just give me that last measure of the first line, and just show me how you do that. You could do a little bit more of that glancing motion, because in that last one was really nice. You came and you kind of went and it was a very tenuto, bringing out the sound. See if you can do that again, and try doing it with all the right hands this time, and just go to the downbeat of the next bar. Yeah, not so much like it doesn't have to be like swinging. It just needs to. Again, just have a little bit of that glancing motion. It doesn't need to be like across the drum like that. But definitely infinity symbol, the melodious kind of symbol. Yeah, it's a very because it'll cause that fluency motion, which will then allow instead of. And obviously these are these the mounts you're gonna use?
Those are the mounts that I've seen people use, but I'm still deciding for myself.
Yeah,
and I have other options.
The thing with those is, you know, they don't have a lot of difference between the head sound and the butt sound. Like, they're pretty hard. It looks like it's just moleskin around,
Pretty much.
or like a chamois around the wood. Yeah. Do you just have regular mounts for now? Can you just use these? Yeah. And then give that a shot again, and just go through that top last measure, and see if you can go through that kind of hairpin crescendo, decrescendo in the second part of the second line. And see right there, we've got tenuto versus staccato. So, like, especially this slow and this early on in the stage, I think you can really dramatize that so that it gets, when it's up to tempo, you don't have to think about it so much. So just start on that second line and see if you can keep your right hand relaxed and flowing, and your left hand staccato, like almost like this American tenuto grip versus this like really staccato French grip.
Yeah.
That's a nice way to differentiate two different grips will get you two different sounds. So this is all about bringing out a melody versus accompaniment. So that's really what we want to focus on for this.
Okay.
Good. Try doing it again. Yeah, sorry, I cut my jumper. Try doing it again, and see if you can keep. I know it's slow, but see if you can just, for now, kind of pretend like we're playing this in slow motion, as opposed to doing the right stroke and then stopping. That way you'll get that muscle memory back.
Yep.
You know, or it'll come easier to you. I think at the top, you know, I like how you're approaching it, but I think that since we're using these reds, you know, it's overplaying for the reds already just a little, but when you got the rust, it'd just be brutal. So I think that's about as much as you want to get. I know you're trying to pull out the accent, which is great, but it's just, you know, it's got that really, everything's heavy, and then the accents are coming out. It's definitely separated. So with the rust, you'll notice that you don't need to play as loud to get that same sound. So I would work on maybe, you know, in that kind of volume range. And then also, you know, it's great because you're working this kind of more relaxed full hand grip. But what's happening is that it's stopping. So the mouth just kind of stopping on top. You got to kind of think of this as same thing with that. It's a slower version of what it's going to be. So you want to be a little bit more continuous with this stroke. So that you're gaining that muscle memory, because if your muscle memory is ingrained, then when you play back, you would never play like that, you know. So you might as well start playing like that more relaxed kind of flow to it.
Right. And that time, I know we talked last lesson a lot about not just bringing out the accented notes, but about bringing up like, the inner notes as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why I was saying, like, I think you've taken that and you've gone too far with it now. Yeah.
Okay.
I definitely think that it's lost some of its, you know, it's just relaxed feel that it's going to have when it's faster.
Okay.
Yeah, everything's got to be aimed at playing it faster, you know, no matter how you practice it, what you're practicing, you always got to think this is going to be at the 135 around there, 132 area.
Yeah.
So just always kind of keep that, if you're playing slow, make sure that the motion is slow, that you're not playing in real time at a slower tempo. So I like the fact that we're now adding in some arm. You know, I think with, just like with the dynamics, we might have gone a little too far with it because there's almost no wrist turn now. So I think it's just finding a balance. You know, it's just like everything else. When you're playing the accents, you know, you really come up like that. You can think of those as a little bit more wrist. You know, with an accent, you can think of an accent as a really quick wrist pop. You know, but obviously we don't want to get all wrist and no arm. You know, just having that relaxed and adding in the wrist to get the accent out. That way, the whole time you're kind of keeping this relaxed. Opposed to this, and plus it's like your right hand's doing this thing the whole time, and your left hand is doing. I think your left hand's actually doing the right amount pretty much. It's just this is so big.
Yeah.
So you know it's all going back to that speed. And you're not gonna have time to do this when you're playing it that fast. So maybe just try to find that happy medium. Now I like that we're able to use some arm and get that sound in a darker color that we're going for. But you know, we have to do it in balance to what we're actually trying to do.
Okay.
Also, there was one more thing: is when you're doing this C sharp, D sharp, G sharp, you got to. It's weird because you do the single stickings when you're up there like that, but when you come down here to the D, E, G, you're all of a sudden doing the doubles.
Yeah.
Which is the same thing, really. I mean, you're staying in one area. Granted, you even have to pull back to that E at one point.
True.
So, you know, part of me just wants it to be consistent. So if you're going to do that on that part, I feel like you should do it up here. But if you're going to single this, then you should probably be singling that.
That was the other thing I was going into. I was going back and forth in practice between because part of me was like, why not?
Yeah.
It just feels like it's the natural thing to do.
I mean, if it works for you, then use it. You know, the thing that I would worry about is that you're practicing the same excerpt, or you're playing it two different ways within the same excerpt. So, you know, you're getting that that different sound where, you know, when I play it, it's pretty much all doubles. So. It's got that flow where everything has the doubles, but if I were going... I'd want it to all be as close to singles or alternating sticking as possible.
Yeah.
You know, because it's just got that sound.
Yeah.
And so I think whatever you do, you need to be consistent with, and it needs to work for you. Now, if you can get the same sound going.